Mr. Chairman, Her Excellency Dr. Najima Heptula, Honorable Governor of Manipur, His Excellency Mr. R.K. Rajan, Member of Parliament, Manipur, His Excellency Mr. Saurabh Kumar, Ambassador of India to Myanmar, Mr. M.T. Epapura, Mr. Sayabachi Dutta, distinguished participants, distinguished panelists. It is my great honor and privilege to inaugurate this conversation together with other dignitaries and scholars from India as well as from Myanmar. I would, at the outset, like to take this opportunity to thank responsible officials from ASEAN India Center, AIC, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, RIS, and the Asian Confluence for organizing this timely conversation. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to be invited to deliver the address. Distinguished participants, the relation between Myanmar and India has received a boost from more substantive initiatives in forging formal agreements and deepening economic, political, cultural, and people-to-people ties between them. The two countries have also embarked on elevating the relation to even higher levels of all aspects of cooperation. India and Myanmar enjoy age-old cultural linkages, which also reflect people-to-people contact and interaction between two friendly countries. In terms of culture, both Myanmar and India share many commonalities such as heritage of religious, ethnic, and linguistic ties. Myanmar's policy of maintaining friendly relations with its neighbors and growing personal friendship among the leaders, and India's Act East policies coupled with the Neighbor First policy have significantly generated much closer ties and broader cooperation in recent years. Bilateral relations between the two countries have been rigorously strengthened to take forward the existing relation to the level of full-fledged strategic partnership in all areas of cooperation. Against this backdrop, I would like to take this opportunity to brief on initiatives to foster closer cooperation between India and Myanmar from the perspective of bilateral trade, connectivity, border areas development scenario, and regional context. Distinguished participants, in the bilateral trade and commerce sector, India ranked the 5th position as the trading partner country. In fiscal year 2017-2018, export to India decreased by 44.01% over the previous year, amounting to US $441.98 million. But the volume of import from India increased by 5.6% over the previous year, amounted to 981 million. Total volume of trade with India decreased by 17.18% over the previous year, with a total value of US $1,423 million. From October 2018 to August 2019 of fiscal year 2018-2019, Myanmar export volume to India increased by 59.95% over the same period of previous year, amounting to US $598.85 million. However, import from India decreased 19.75% over the same period of previous year, amounting to US $709.61 million. Total volume of bilateral trade increased by 2.77%, with a total amount of US $1,308.46 million. In the context of connectivity initiatives between Myanmar and India, the major project is the Kalada Multimodal Transit Transport Project. The framework agreement between Myanmar and India for the construction and operation of a multimodal transit transport facility on Kalatan River, connecting the Sittwe port in Myanmar with the state of Mizoram in India, was signed in April 2008. The project of Sittwe Seaport is also part of Kalatan Multimodal Transit Transport Project. Upon this completion, the Kalatan Multimodal Transit Transport Project will connect the Eastern Indian seaport of Kolkata with Sittwe Seaport in Rakhine State, Myanmar by sea. It will also link Sittwe Seaport to Palewat, Chin State via the Kalatan River boat route, and then from Palewat to Mizoram State in Northeast India by road. The project will provide an attractive access to the Bay of Bengal from the northeastern part of India, as the new route will connect economically isolated northeastern region of India to Sittwe port of Myanmar. Therefore, it will help promote development of transportation sector and economic cooperation between the two countries. The project will also bring more trade opportunities to both countries, as it will not only facilitate better transportation for Rakhine and Chin states, but give impetus to the development of tourism industry. Another flagship initiative is India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway Project, which is under the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Initiative, was started in 2005. From the perspective of India, Myanmar is the gateway to Southeast Asia and entry point to link with ASEAN connectivity, as it is the only land bridge between connecting ASEAN and India. Therefore, the project of India-Myanmar Trilateral Highway is largely funded by Indian government under the Act East policy. This project is significant to both India and Southeast Asian countries, as it establishes connectivity to further trade and commerce between India and the ASEAN member states. Distinguished participants, as from regional context angle, Myanmar's membership of ASEAN, BIMSTEC, and Mekong-Ganga cooperation has introduced a regional, sub-regional dimension to bilateral relations and imparted added significance in the context of Act East policy. Myanmar-India time-tested friendly relations go beyond bilateral context, and the bilateral cooperation expanded under the regional and multilateral frameworks. Myanmar has generally been supportive of India's stand to various international organizations. Myanmar and India are closely cooperating and collaborating in ASEAN frameworks such as ASEAN-India Dialogue, Bay of Bengal Initiative, Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC, Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar, BCIM, Economic Corridor, and South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation are the platform from Myanmar and India to consolidate friendship and intensify multifaceted cooperation in both bilateral and multilateral contexts. Distinguished participants, with regard to improving border cooperation, Myanmar and India are on the same page, as both agree that terrorism constitutes a significant threat to peace and stability in the region and should be confronted in all its forms and manifestations. Since terrorism poses a threat to peace and stability of the countries of the world, Myanmar condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Both countries share the view that it is important to maintain security and stability along the India-Myanmar borders, which is essential for the socio-economic development of the populations living in the border area. Myanmar has clearly reiterated that it will never allow any insurgent and negative element to use its own soil to engage in any hostile activities against its neighboring country, India. Myanmar also appreciates India's stance to uphold the same principle. Distinguished participants, border trade between Myanmar and India has a significant role to play from the microeconomic perspective of regional economic integration between South Asia and the Southeast Asia region. Border trade between Myanmar and India hit 194.6 million US dollar as of September 13 in the fiscal year 2018 to 2019. Meanwhile, Myanmar's border trade with four neighboring countries, China, India, Thailand, and Bangladesh, totaled 9.6 billion US dollars, shared by 6.7 billion in US dollar in export and 2.9 million US dollar billion US dollar in import. Border trade between Myanmar and India is severely constrained by lack of information on number of goods which could be traded. Myanmar mainly exports to India fruits and vegetable, fishery and forestry products, while importing from India medicine, electronic products, motorbikes, cotton yarns, non-alloy steel, and other construction materials. It is still perceived that only 62 items are permitted for trade. Border trade between Myanmar and India through the land routes does not get governed by just the border trade agreements. Distinguished participants, apart from trade aspect of convergence, the two countries have also been fostering cooperation in areas of border and connectivity. Effort has been made to fulfill the need to further facilitate the easy movement of passengers and cargo traffic by streamlining procedures and expeditiously developing infrastructure. The two land border crossing points at Tamu More and Rikoda Zokoda have been opened as international border gates. The construction of the modern integrated checkpost will be implemented as phase 1 at Tamu, Myanmar. Bilateral motor vehicle agreement to facilitate cross-border movement of vehicles is underway. A coordinated bus service between Imphal and Mandalay has been planned to launch this year, but delayed by the COVID. Emphasizing the importance of promoting the well-being of people in the remote areas across the border of two countries, both sides agreed to commence the establishment of the border hut with priority to carry out the pilot project. Under the Myanmar-India border area development programs, India has been providing infrastructure and socio-economic development in Chin State and Naga self-administered region through the Indian Grant in Aid projects. Under this, 43 schools, 18 health centers, and 51 bridges and roads have been constructed in the above areas over the last 3 years, and 29 additional projects under the 4th year's French assistance of $5 million will be implemented in 2020-21. Distinguished participants, despite the visible initiative and ample opportunities have been accelerated in terms of trade, physical connectivity, and geographical proximity, certain challenges still exist in normalizing trade between India and Myanmar. As I have mentioned earlier, total volume of trade between India and Myanmar is in downward trend, whereas border trade is also severely constrained. As the trade basket is narrow and subject to wide fluctuation, both sides should take steps to bolster trade across the land border as well as overseas trade. Two important developments have taken place since operationalization of border trade agreement. This might include a shift from barter to normal trade that can take place through land border. With the normalization of trade flows, two other policy mechanisms become relevant. The Unilateral Duty-Free Tariff Preference Scheme, TFTPs, Scheme of India, and ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement (AITGA). The broad provision contained in these two policy frameworks for Myanmar-India normal trade through the land border need to be explored by the business from both sides. As all have known, the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic has hampered the global economy and has brought distancing in physical communication of business and disruption of supply chain of various industries all over the world. Therefore, every country has been trying to mitigate and remediate the adverse impact of COVID-19. With the prevailing situation, the economic recovery will take time, but I believe that this situation will also open up new opportunities for Myanmar economy. I'm quite optimistic that with the systematic implementation of the existing relief plan and enhancing cooperation with partner countries like India, Myanmar will completely overcome the impact of COVID-19 on its economy. Towards this, further collaboration is imperative to bring about new normal models of development for post-COVID. Distinguished participants, in conclusion, I am confident that being a neighborhood, Myanmar is best positioned to play a crucial role in bridging India and other ASEAN member states for closer economic ties. From this standpoint, India's Northeast region represents as the heart of India's Act East policy and strategically important as the gateway to Southeast Asia. As I have mentioned earlier, leveraging physical connectivity to integrate and promote socio-economic interaction between India's Northeast states and Myanmar will enormously complement the existing dynamic of all aspects of Indo-Myanmar cooperation. Prioritizing connectivity improvement and border trade promotion will invariably speed up other potentials of improving agriculture sector, boosting tourism, health and educational sector, as well as generating livelihood of communities of border areas along the two countries. Thank you very much.